All right, so I posted on Twitter if anyone had any questions they wanted me to answer in this video. So now I'm into the Q&A section. I'll start with the first one. This one's from Denny. So no, he said, I know this is kind of typical, but if you knew then what you knew now, what would you have done differently? One thing I just recently talked about is I would have never hid my previous career. Initially, my resume was only one page and it was like so skimp, like it was sad. And like, I remember resenting the fact that like I spent like 11 years in a field and I didn't even mention it. And like, I was just under the impression that no one would care. And in all actuality, like my previous career and my social skills, in my opinion, were way more important than my tech skills were, especially as far as interviews. So yeah, I definitely would not hide that at all. If someone asked me what got me into coding, I wish initially I would have like told them the full story and not trying to sound like I said, like a super coder. What else? Oh, I forgot to mention, I took CS50. I'm not knocking it. Like, so people swear by that course. It was cool. I only took 4 weeks of it just for what I wanted to do in tech, what I was learning. I didn't really find it useful. Like, I didn't come away from that course like I guess I really saw it more of a time sink than it being helpful for my case. I know some people, like I said, they swear by it. Some people say to start with that first. Me personally, I had prior coding knowledge and I found some of the problem sets kind of challenging. So I would think a complete beginner would be like terrified if that was their first experience into tech. So, but yeah, that's what I do differently. Really, that's about it. It's really superficial things. I believe my journey is my journey, and like my story is so powerful because of the good, the highs and the lows, the good and the bad. And if I change too much, like who's to say I would have changed the outcome? So when it comes to that, that's really all I change. All right, this one is from Tiffany. How you got started and every step you took, whether it be a step forward or backwards to get to where you are today so far. So the whole 2 hours before this section, like that was such a broad question. Like I really can't answer it quickly. I'd say like this whole video was pretty much like what I did and the steps that I took. So I hope you found the video helpful. But yeah, that's all I got for that one. This one's from Logan. How long did it take from when you first decided to learn to program to when you got hired for your first official job? Or how long did the job search take from when you actually started looking to your first day on the job? So I guess I'll answer both. I was consistent for 10 months. So I quit my job June 7th. I got my job offer on April Fool's. Now, mind you, I was consistent for 10 months. I did not say I started. So I did not go zero to 10 months and I got a job. That's why I refuse to title this video how I got a job in 10 months, because it simply wasn't that simple. Like if you want to get technical, my journey technically started in the 10th grade. Like I'm not even kidding. So the bulk of it was in the past 10 months, but if high school and my freshman year in college didn't happen, like this wouldn't happen. So I couldn't have had one without the other. How long did the job search take? I sent my first application in October. I did not apply consistently. I was apply somewhere and then I may not even apply for weeks after that. And I don't know, I finish a project, update my portfolio or something, then I send another wave of applications. Like that's pretty much the trend. Yeah, it just depends on like if I finish a project or something, if I just happen to find a lot of interesting job postings at the time. So from October to April, but I wasn't applying consistently. So it's really hard to quantify because I wasn't consistent. All right, the next question is from Nell. She actually asked me 3 questions. I would like to know, what did you enjoy most about learning how to code? Um, to keep it simple, I enjoyed myself. Like, I legitimately had fun. Legitimately is not even a word. I actually enjoy how to code. Like, me learning to code, I didn't have any extrinsic motivation, meaning there were no external factors. Like, I didn't do it because I want the lifestyle, I want the money. I did it because basically for me, it was a dream deferred. Like, since I was a kid, I knew I wanted to do something with computers. And like, I remember, if you remember from the beginning of the video, that was my major. And it's not that that's ever stopped being my dream. I just told myself along the way that I wasn't smart enough because I didn't originally do well in school. So I just thought like this dream was just going to be a pipe dream. And like I had to settle for plan B. So I just enjoyed getting back into what my original plan in life was, really. For me, I looked for coding to complete my life, not really change it, to complete it. All right. What kept you motivated throughout your journey? So for me, I quit my job to learn how to code. So a part of it was financially motivated. I had saved up a decent amount of months worth of expenses. So I had a finite window. Like, I only had from here to here to learn how to code. And I was like, I may not get an opportunity like this again to not have to worry about working. So I didn't play around. Like, I meant business. Like, this is going to happen. It wasn't like if it's going to happen or hopefully it'll happen. Like, it was going to happen. And like, I was going to make sure it was going to happen. So, I didn't play around. Like, sometimes I'd clock 14, 15-hour days, according to my walker time on my VS Code terminal. I was motivated just because, like, I said I wanted it. So I'm like, all right, you say this is what you want, prove it. So if you really want something, then that means you're willing to go above and beyond to get it. And that's one thing. This is kind of off of a tangent. Some people, their reasoning for wanting to get into tech, that plays a factor as well. Some people will say they want something, but you're not necessarily willing to go but so far to get it. Like, you almost have to be willing to be uncomfortable to really bring change. And for me, I had to give up the comfort of financial security to really get what I want. At the end of the day, I got this financial security right back. So, I mean, that's just how life works. But yeah, I was motivated because I was determined I was not going back to my previous career. And like, yeah, there was no plan B. Like, it was going to work. And like, I just made sure that it worked. All right. Last question. How has learning how to code positively affected your life? I just got to do what I love. I guess to keep it simple. Like, yeah, I got to do what I loved. I found like a newfound love for coding. I realized I am smart enough and it is for me. I just had to find the specific area. Like, I realized in college, that was Java, C++. It was more like back-endy like stuff. Web development is like a whole different area. And so, like I said, I found my specific niche and it worked. And I pretty much I ran with it after that. All right, this question, his name is A2Geeked on Twitter. It's not his actual name. It said, what were some obstacles you had to face along the way? Did you doubt yourself or feel the effects of impostor syndrome? How did you persevere? Obstacles I faced along the way? Sometimes I'd say I had moments where I would ask myself, like, is it really worth it? Just because, like, I literally bet my savings on my dream. I get it, to put it frankly. So I questioned, was it worth it? Because, mind you, I had a non-tech career previously, so like I didn't make the highest salary. So that's really like, it was like my lifelong earnings basically, and I was risking it all. So I wonder, was it worth it? I wondered, like, would I realistically get a job? Like, were the odds against me? I didn't doubt myself. I doubted the time frame that I had. Like, I only had a finite amount of time, like I said, to make it work. Like, I doubted if it was possible in that time. I didn't necessarily doubt that it wasn't possible. I guess to add a little bit more to my answer to that question, my imposter syndrome was when I was in college. So like my initial experience with college level computer science, for sure, I had imposter syndrome. It's almost like this time around, I had a chip on my shoulder. Like I was gonna prove myself wrong. Like this is where I was meant to be. So I almost had like the opposite. I was like, no, like I'm gonna do it. But yeah, that's how I persevered. Like I just kept going. I knew that the more time that went by, the better applicant I would be, just because I would have learned more skills. So for me, I know some people, they learn, then they stop, then they apply. I kept learning and applying. So like applications I sent out in June, applications I sent out in October had this much progress. Applications I sent out in December had this much progress. And like the same trend kept going. Like the more time went by, the better the package I was presenting to companies when I applied. So I just kept that up, and something about March, but when March hit, like the stars all aligned, and like my mom always told me that, you know, everything was going to happen all at once, and she was definitely right. All right, the next one is from Shane. What's something that you wish was more clearly explained that you've encountered in your journey so far? Um, Probably to take opinions, advice that I see, like take it all with a grain of salt. I feel like as a beginner, especially when you discover tech Twitter, um, a lot of these roadmaps and threads like send you on a wild goose chase almost. And so like when you're a beginner, like you don't really know, you're very impressionable. So if they say go this way, you're gonna go this way. They say go this, you're gonna go, like you just keep going back and forth like a cat and mouse game. So I wish that was like better explained. Like it's all about trial and error. Like I had to learn that it's about trial and error, but like yeah, just start. That's the main thing. I'd say that's probably it. Yeah, I guess I'd say that's probably it. All right, the next one is from Gerald. What inspires you more to continue learning during your low moments? I just remember why I did this in the first place. Like I did not literally bet my savings to waste my own time. So I was like, look, like I was really militant in my approach. Like I know my personality may not be the same as others. Like my approach may sound super extreme to others, but that's just the approach that I took, and that's what worked for me. Um, but yeah, like I had a couple. Sure, I had low moments, but they were few and far between. I'd say they didn't last very long. I think the longest low moment that I had was 2 weeks. I'd say. But yeah, I just remembered like, look, like you did this for a reason, and as more time went by, like I said, like I began to think a lot more realistically, like, look, like it's hard for a reason. You have to keep going. Like it's almost like survival of the fittest in a way. So yeah, you just got to keep going. All right, this one is from Corey. I always get value on the order of what people have learned so far. To be honest, my order was all over the place, because, like I said, it was trial and error. Like for the most part, like of course, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React. However, like I said, it was like a telephone line. I move forward, then I go backwards a little bit. I move forward, I go backwards a little bit. Like what I learned sometimes was a result of a project I was working on. Like I would learn just enough of something to move forward, then I get stuck. Then I have to go back a little bit and focus on this one specific area. Then I move forward again. Like I kept going back and forth, back and forth. It was not linear at all. My progress, just like my roadmap would be like a bunch of like a spider web, I guess. But yeah, this one is from. All right. Sorry, I was at the end of my recording time. This one is from Dev Chubby. Right now, do you feel good in coding, or do you still get this feeling of not being good enough? I'd say right now, I feel pretty confident, because I learned in public. So anytime I have a low moment, as someone stated, I can literally go back to my YouTube and watched my very first video when I didn't know anything that I know now. And like, to put it in perspective, like, I remind myself I have no reason to not feel good enough. So yeah. This one is from Reynold. How did you actually get the job as a junior, and how would someone else get it too living outside of the USA? I mean, I send in an application just like everyone else. Like I said, I targeted specific roles. Like, I narrowed it down to the type of role I want, the type of company, the size of the company. I was very meticulous in, the wording of the job posting as well. Did the job title match the job description? If it didn't, probably not a good match. If it did, all right, then I'll look further. Did the company seem interesting? Did you work on interesting projects, or did it seem kind of boring? But yeah. And another thing, I was my authentic self. Like, in my cover letter, like I said I'm self-taught. Like, I didn't try to overhype my skills. Like, if someone asked me something and I didn't know, I said I didn't know. I asked questions. I don't know. That's just what worked for me. And that's the thing. Like, there is no magic answer, and I know people want that, and like they're hoping to find like the cheat code to getting into tech, but like, there is no cheat code. Like, it literally just depends. And to be honest, some people will have better luck than others just because they're them. Like, there may not be anything else different. It's just, you may be more of a people person than the other applicant. So like, a company may hire a people person more than they hire an introvert. Like, it could be like the silliest reason, but like, it's just differences. Like, different companies want different things. But yeah, I don't know. It's sometimes maybe the luck of the draw, but I don't think that I necessarily did anything different. Besides, like, yeah, I guess like my methods of narrowing down what I chose to apply to. But yeah, as far as getting it living outside of the US, I don't know. I live in the US, so I'm not the right person to answer that question. I would assume the job process is probably about the same. I mean, I don't know, the requirements may be different. You'd have to maybe look up a YouTube video on someone who got a job that doesn't live in the US, because I only can speak on the US. This one is from Parbez. Would love to hear about the actual recruiting phase, the interview, what hooked them to hire you, stuff like that. That phase is not shared with the community that much, as everybody is more focused on the learning part. I agree. Like I said, the technical part is hyper focused on. Social skills play a huge part. And just you as a person, like, how do you come across? Do you come across as friendly? Do you come across as someone else will want to work with? Do you come off as likable or not? Like, I know everyone probably watching this video has met someone, and like, your first impression wasn't the greatest. You just got like a off vibe. And so that first vibe check, like, is checking for that. Like, is there something off about you? That could be a disqualifier. But yeah, hopefully the interview section you found helpful. I would say, in my opinion, for me, what helped me was my story. Like I said, I was my authentic self. I never tried to be something I wasn't. I never tried to overhype my skills. Like, I gave really detailed answers. One thing I forgot: ask questions, and ask thoughtful questions at that. Sorry, ran out of time again. But yeah, questions also play an important role because they show interest in the company. They show that you did your homework. They show that you're prepared. I would look on their website. Maybe if there's something that I want them to clear up, I'd go over the job description. Maybe like I had a question about like, what did they mean by that when they said this? I would ask like, how is success measured? What else? Name a time when like something didn't go well. Like, how did you handle it? Like, questions like that, like thought-provoking questions. And just about every interview I had like Oh man, that's a good question. And like you want that. Like because they're gonna remember you because like dang, like so and so just asked me this. Like that was crazy. No one ever has ever asked me that before. Like you want to be memorable. Like if your story won't make you memorable, maybe your question that you ask them will. So like find something. I don't mean make up something like that's authentic about you. Be memorable. For some people, they get it with the questions. I always prepared like a list of questions to ask. Some of them got answered like because like a lot of interviews they start out like giving you information, so some of them got answered by default. But I always had like at least three, I'd say, questions that I answered, that I asked them. All right. How did you plan out your journey if you had one? In hindsight, I really didn't have a plan. I just found the starting point. Trial and error. I looked on Reddit. I wasted time worrying about what was best. Like that was a complete waste of time. I discovered the Odin Project. That pretty much was like a built-in roadmap, if you want to call it one, because it was a whole curriculum, like from beginning to end. It gave you topics, videos to watch, all that. So yeah, as far as plans, that's about it. Yeah, I did never planned it out. Like, all right, this month I'm going to learn this. Like, it didn't work like that. I literally went like whenever I was comfortable enough with HTML. All right, then I learned CSS. Whenever I was comfortable enough with CSS, then I learned JavaScript. Like, it went by my comfort level, and like sometimes I just got bored. Like, I know at one point I got bored with vanilla JavaScript, so I decided to go ahead and transition to React, which best decision I made because I love React. So I've been on React since November, and I have not even remotely begun to get bored. So yeah, did not have a plan, did not plan it out. I just started, and that's the big thing. People spend so much time worrying about the plan and all that. Just start, do something. Literally Google, how do I do XYZ? Pick the first Google search result, and boom, start there. Just start. All right, this one is from Christina. How did you decide on what you wanted to focus on? I knew from when I was in college, Java, C++, I wasn't a fan of those languages so much. And I realized that was more the back end. So that made sense. I'm a visual person. So I like to change a code and see the color of a button change or see something animate across the screen. So I realized I like the front end. That's where I wanted to start initially. I do want to learn the full stack. However, I focus on just the front end just to start. So, but yeah, that's how. Goku asked your struggles in the field, your highs and lows, and maybe some advice for anyone in the field as well. In the field, are you saying like in as far as my job? I don't start my job until May. But I'll just answer this as far as like learning to code. It was some times where I wasn't as motivated, but like I just had to remember why I was doing it in the grand scheme of things. So I didn't stay in a low too long. At the end of the day, like I had business to handle. So like I was on a mission and like I wasn't playing. My advice, start. Just start. Like people worry too much, start, build projects, build projects from scratch to be specific, narrow down and find out what it is that you want to target. Yeah, to continue answering your question, as far as anyone in the field, again, remember why you did it, why you started in the first place. Find what you like, and what you like may change over time. I'm more so answering from someone trying to get into the field because I just got in, so I can't answer for someone that's been in the field for a while. So sorry. But yeah, I guess that's the gist of it. This is from Better Call Paul. How you started building projects for learning. I literally just picked something and I just tried to build it. Some things I didn't even finish. Like one time I started to copy YouTube, just make a UI clone of YouTube. I think I made like 2 videos about it. And then I don't know I just forgot about that project and went on to something else, but I literally just thought of something. Sometimes I would draw it out and then try to build what I drew. But I literally would just think of an idea, just build it from scratch. So that's as simple as that. What language or languages do you write? How did you start and when did you start? And what was the progress like? I've learned HTML, CSS, a little bit of SAS, React, style components. Just started learning Next.js. I think that's it. A little bit of C because I did take 4 weeks of CS50. But yeah, technically I started in the 10th grade. I started back most recently, consistently, June 7th of 2021. But like that, I did not start from zero. Like I said, like I already had like a whole experience with coding prior to that. My progress was, it was up and, well, what was my progress like? It was up and down. At first it started off slow, and then I didn't really notice how much I had progressed until I would compare my work from a time period before to currently. And then once I learned React, like I took off like a rocket ship, in my opinion, anyway. Just because I had finally like really learned how to learn, and like a lot of trial and error, like I figured out what worked by that time. And I don't know what it is with React. Like I just like it. Like I still haven't learned everything about React, but even when I get stuck, like it's still fun to me. Like, I don't know. But yeah, I'm still progressing. Definitely haven't stopped learning. Even though I got a job offer, I'm still learning new things. It's become a habit, so I can't see myself stopping. So, all right, I had 2 more questions I've been asked in DMs. Asked about interview experience. I talked about that in the whole section, so I hope you found that useful. And the last one, I would love to ask what productivity tools help you multitask and handle learning and building on the go. To be honest, I didn't use any productivity tools. I played with Notion for all of a week and then I forgot about it, to be honest. I'm old school, so pen and paper, to-do list. Also have like a giant whiteboard mounted to my wall in my office. So certain things I didn't want to forget, maybe like a resource I found or whatever I didn't want to forget. I just wrote it down. And then after a while, I just have like a running Microsoft Word document of just like random links to keep me from having so many tabs open. I just paste the link into the notes. Like now it's grown to like 20 pages of just random stuff. So, didn't use any productivity tools. I just did it. I'm an action person. I'm a planner when it comes to literally everything else about my life. But when it came to my journey, I just kind of hit the ground running, to be honest. Let me check. I had one more DM come in. Oh yeah, no, it's a regular question. It's not a question. I hope you found this video useful. Kudos to you and thank you so much if you actually watched this to the end. I know it was long, but I wanted to be as detailed as possible. Like I said, I wanted to make the video that I wish I had seen when I started my journey. So all in all, I hope it helps you and good luck on your journey. Thanks for watching.